Look at the adjective. Play.
And I have half the brain that you do. I told you. Oh, God.
Now is the franchise going to take the Viagra?
Gonna put the butts in the seat.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode number 81 of Because WCW, the podcast where the big boys play. My name is the Twisted Genius Dean Ayers, and I am joined as ever by my co-host, the Zone journalist, what else can we call you, Liam? He's Liam Happ. He's on the other end of this Skype line. What's the worst thing you've been called? Come on, blue tick wanker.
Yeah, I was going to say the majority of the candidates for the worst thing I've ever been called have probably been uttered by your good self.
By myself.
Yeah, so you've put in. You're like that time Dennis Bergkamp put in all three contenders for goal of the month.
Oh, sports communist, of course.
Sports communist. Yeah, I was going to say you did seem a little bit unsure of what way to go, because sometimes you mention I run the features at hookedonwrestling.co.uk, and I write the news for DAZN, and by the way, DAZN have launched globally. I might as well get in a shameless plug for that. DAZN, a lot of people have noticed, started a month, almost like a Netflix of sports, you could say. And as of today, we're recording December 1st. I'm hoping to have this up today anyway. It is now available outside of the US and the other 9 key markets. It's a global entity, over 200 countries, and the majority of our listeners who are British, UK and Ireland, I should say, can jump on board for just £1.99 a month for live boxing all around the globe, back catalogue of sports contents, and more rights are being picked up each week. So it's definitely worth jumping on board. I think this is going to get bigger and better as it goes along. So I might as well get in a shameless plug.
Go for it. Yeah, you say about the majority of our listeners from the UK, but last month, the month of November, the US jumped ahead.
Yeehaw, boy!
10%.
Yeehaw!
Yeah. But my heart, of course, remains with the 17 listeners from parts unknown.
I thought you was going to say your heart remained in Texas or something like that, and sound like a country and western song.
Yes, my heart remains in Texas.
All my listeners live in Texas.
Never been in my life, but hey, maybe one day, who knows? So yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone to all of you for taking the time and trouble to download these episodes. It's been great. We've been getting some great feedback from people on Twitter. People who there's one guy who's basically been binge listening, I suppose, is the equivalent of binge watching. But he's been binge listening all of the Nitro Watchalongs, and he's probably caught up by the time we put this one out.
Yeah,
so,
do not try this at home, kids. This is a trained professional.
Yeah, but yeah, we are 81 episodes down now. So if you want to come and check out our back catalogue, the best place to go to is our website, becausewcw.podbean.com. But it's also available, wherever you get your podcasts from, basically. And we do always like to warn people that seeing as we're getting to grips with this early days, the first 6 episodes do sound like we're locked in adjacent toilet cubicles. But after that, we kind of got a bit better at what we're doing. And we've had some great guests on. And we will continue to have some great guests on. And talking of which, we have a little thing going on right now on Twitter for all of our followers. Twitter, by the way, we are at Because WCW. But Liam, do you want to tell the good folks of this podcast what is happening over on the old Twitter?
Yes, well, there's no better time to do it than December the 1st. Everyone's opening up the first door of their advent calendar, unless you're like me and you've opened up 10 doors in November already. And as that little get in the mood for Christmas treat, we announced that the little cool thing we did for a festive episode last year, where we basically just we took to the floor and we asked you, the listener, for your WCW related questions, and Dean and I went through a load of them. Some of you guys just asked for some for some facts, things you couldn't dig up yourselves, and we try to go deep into our memories and bring out. Some of you guys just wanted our opinions on things and brought up some really cool, creative, hypothetical questions that we had a lot of fun answering, and we're welcoming all of those things once again. But this time it won't just be Dean and myself. We'll be joined by one of our more esteemed, frequent guests, a man who has been on the show twice. He'll be claiming his hat-trick ball, making Paul Benson, the only previous hat-trick boy, extremely jealous that he has to share the spotlight. The editor of Power Slam magazine during its original run, 1994 to 2014, Finn Martin, is going to be sat on the Skype with us, and we're going to run through all of your questions one by one, and we're going to have a lot of fun answering them, because I remember a year ago it was a lot of fun. And Finn, when he did the last episode with us, a special during that 25th anniversary of Nitro only a few months ago, he said to us,
"Oh yes."
well, when we went off the air and we started to post-produce, he said to us, I love that. It shouldn't have taken me so long to get back on. Can we do another one before the end of the year?" And our cogs starting to turn in our head, didn't they, Dean? And we thought, you know what? This Christmas special, we're really enthusiastic about making it a regular thing. Why don't you come hop on and join us and answer some of these questions? Because our listeners, they are very enthusiastic about those, though, but they're also very creative with their questions. I've already seen a couple of them pitched to us, and this is going to be a lot of fun, Dean.
Oh yeah, yeah. I won't spoil it, but the one that I've seen that has made me smile, which is just a crazy kind of left field question. So yeah, whatever you want to send us, whether it be just opinions about what things that happened, or favorite memories, or as the one that I'm referring to is completely hypothetical and left field. So whatever you want, just mix it up, throw it our way, and we'll be picking out the best ones and answering them on our podcast. So today. Oh, before we move on to what we're doing today, I must acknowledge, of course, the fact that the because WCW Derby, the football match between my team and Liam's, my Ipswich Town and Liam's Charlton Athletic, ended on Saturday with a 2-0 win for Charlton Athletic.
Yeah, sorry, my condolences, Dean. Yeah,
So, congratulations to you, you absolute pug.
we were just saying off air, weren't we, how there was actually midweek games before that Saturday game, and both Charlton and Ipswich actually suffered a really hard to digest defeat each. You guys lost to Hull, didn't you?
Yep.
And
3-0 at home to Hull, and then 2-0 at home to Charlton.
Charlton lost midweek away to Burton, who are at the other end of the table. Just two of those results where the teams weren't at the races. But I saw in the media, like Charlton media and Ipswich were both saying, right, we should get a reaction from this. And then you look at the other team and see they've had a similar result, and you're like, oh, hang on, something's got to give here. Only one of us can bounce back with a win.
Yeah.
So I'm just relieved it was us.
Did Ipswich have a reaction? Nope.
Did they, bollocks?
Yes, but there you go. What can you do, eh? The joys of being an Ipswich fan. And the other thing I was going to ask you, with this DAZN stuff, did you have to cover the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. match?
Do you know what? And this is the thing, and this is the reason they do these things. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones gave DAZN their biggest traffic numbers since launching a relatively new website with editorial on it. And I know for a fact that quite a few other places got huge numbers off of it, because at the end of the day, and this is the way it works. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are huge names, especially Tyson. And for them to do something as crazy as this, look at the numbers that Mayweather and McGregor pulled, just for the sheer spectacle of one guy jumping in to another sport. Funnily enough, Clarissa Shields, one of the best female boxers, today announced that she'll be competing in MMA next year. She'll be trying to juggle the two. It didn't really work for Britain's MVP, Michael Venom Page, but she's going to give it a go. These crossovers work, and getting the big names come from yesteryear. I don't know if you saw, Dean, but apparently Glenn McCrory is going to fight Evander Holyfield next year.
McCrory?
Yeah, and everyone thought, oh, they're going to fight in a bare knuckle boxing fight, because it's being co-promoted by the bare knuckle boxing promotion that has started up. But I think they're basically just going to try and help promote it, because they can get a cut of the profits by being the
Yeah.
co-promoters and helping them get a venue in that for them, might even get the O2. So it's a crazy world at the moment, but it's a premise that's always existed, and we see it in wrestling all the time.
Gimmick matches.
Well, not just that, but going back to, look at Goldberg in WWE, the best example.
Yeah.
People go back because it's a spectacle, it's a big name. People like to convince themselves that the old era was so much better than this crappy era. And then you know what they say about this crappy era 20 years from now? They say they wish that the current era 20 years from now was as good as this era. It's what we
Yeah.
do. We rose tint glasses in the past all the time, and
know,
promoters lean into it.
Yeah, and you know what they'll say about this podcast in 20 years' time? It was a golden age.
Yeah, and
The
how the
pandemic.
fuck are they still running? Why are they still doing podcasts about WCW?
Yeah, we'll be covering like WCW Pro or something by that point. Oh, Liam, here comes the Galaxian again.
Anything to get our fix.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen up, slapnuts. That's right. This is Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, and you're listening to Because WCW. Now choke on that.
Right. Well, today we are doing a Nitro watch along of. This was the 34th Monday Nitro, originally broadcast on May the 13th, 1996. If you're watching on the network, then I'll just forewarn you that I'm getting adverts popping up on these things before the thing begins. So make sure you got them cleared if you want to do a watch along of the actual episode with us. But yeah, May 13th, we are trundling along towards the 2 hour Nitro, which is just 2 more episodes away. So not long to go before that, and of course the big arrival. It's not a spoiler if it
Of the
happened.
Mauler.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a spoiler if it happened 25 years ago. But
I
yeah,
can't wait for the Mauler's Nitro debut. Like
it is
goosebumps.
the
Goosebumps.
the debut of the Mauler, which is then of course rudely interrupted by Scott Hall. But this is as I said, number 34, May 13th, 96. Are you ready over there, Liam?
Barring the potential pop-up adverts, I am very ready. Cross our fingers as we hit play, shall we?
Okay, well we're on 0000000, and it's time to press play in 3, 2, 1, go. Cue burning buildings.
I have burning buildings.
Excellent.
I didn't start the fire, by the way.
It was always me.
Now that's stuck in your head for the next 42 minutes. Good luck.
Cheers.
So, the last time we did the Night Show, because we've done a couple of special episodes since then, the last time we went back to the comfort zone, didn't we? What's the deal with Sting and Luger? Randy Savage has lost his mind. The hits. These recurring storylines that don't really progress. They just like hit the same notes every time. But the episodes have been pretty good the last few because, you know who has not been here.
Will the third time be a charm? Yep, the main event, we've got Lex Luger having his third title shot at the Giant. And I guess this is the flip side. This is the problem with the formula that Nitro developed for wrestling TV of no squash matches, feature matches.
Luger is camped out because he's missed 2 opportunities because he weren't at the building, and people been saying there's cahoots. He doesn't want to fight the Giant because of the Jimmy Hart link, but he's camped outside to make sure he's here. That is a nice touch. I like that.
I'm with it now. So when they say it's his third opportunity, he hasn't had 2 matches already. This is the third time he can have this match. Right, that changes.
Yes, because you'll remember in recent episodes there's been those things. Speaking of Mongo, though, who has just started speaking on the show, is it just me or is this the first time he's actually repeated an outfit? Because I swear I've seen this outfit before on him and the dog.
The dog?
Yeah, well, he's wearing like a really loud Nashville denim jacket because he's referenced Nashville.
The dog's got a wig on.
He's like honky tonk dog. I swear he's done this before. He's running out of ideas.
Yeah, the dog's got a wig on. I'm sorry, but how often do you see a dog with a fucking wig on?
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't have an answer for you, Dean.
no, there is no answer. It's a rhetorical
I,
question.
I
The
don't
Public
know. I
Enemy
don't know
are
how to respond to that.
fair enough. Um, the um, the Public Enemy are already in the ring, so they didn't even get an entrance. So that tells you who's going to win this one. But
To be fair, they've done everyone
Steiner,
a favour by skipping their fucking entrance.
Scott Steiner looks particularly uncomfortable, he's had a particularly bad experience in catering or something.
Well, the funny thing is this will be another thing we'll have to make a weekly track of, is because I do recall after the Steiners came back to WCW, he would embark on a gradual weekly situation where he got progressively more moody and scowly to the point where before he actually turned heel in '98, he was basically a heel in babyface situations.
Yeah,
And he can't even be bothered to smile or pose or do those typical babyface things. He's really starting to be himself.
he's getting bigger as well. You can see from that.
Oh man, yeah.
Those calves are almost popping out of his boots.
Which
His
I'm sure is completely
back is getting
natural.
bigger. Absolutely.
To be fair, I don't think Scott Steiner, while he's been careful not to turn around and go, yeah, I'll take steroids, he's always been careful not to deny it as well, hasn't he?
Well, I do remember there's the famous story, whether it's true or
The
not, but
Triple
there's the
H
old
one.
story about where
Yeah.
they wanted him to take a drug test, and he said, "Sure, just get Triple H to pick me up in the limo, and we'll go together." And he was never asked
Yeah,
to do a
which
drug
is
test again.
exactly like it's pretty obvious that he takes, and there's a growing thing at the moment in wrestling where I've seen a lot of people try and say, well, you know what, they're not cheating, they're not in a competition where it can give them unfair advantage. If they want to take this on them, the stats of massive heart attacks in their 40s would suggest no, maybe we should have a word with them. But there is this whole culture of if that's what they want to do, that's their prerogative. And I've always been of the opinion, as long as someone doesn't try and lie to my fucking face, then I'm not really going to begrudge them the freedom to make stupid choices.
I mean, there's a whole debate on that, and obviously you've also got to consider that, especially in the 80s and very early 90s, I guess that those people who had enhanced physiques would get more of a push. So it was as if the promotions were were encouraging it without directly encouraging it.
Oh,
So
absolutely. That
there,
was
there's a lot to debate.
that was one of the things about the steroid trial with the WWF, was some of the evidence come up was just how sly and just how clever they were in making sure they never actually directly said it, but they made sure everyone felt compelled to do it. And
Yeah,
ultimately, because of it, quite a timid, passive prosecution, they never could actually prove that someone directly did it. Like that someone had, like, pushed another wrestler to take them, and that's why he was acquitted in the end.
yeah. And I mean, let's not pretend it's just the big leagues as well, because steroids at the time were all around all manner of indie promotions as well. So,
Mm.
um, but I think even to this day, guys who have a tremendous physique in the big leagues have more chance of getting pushed than someone who doesn't. It's a remnant of the old days that's still around. I think.
Yeah. And
Not
obviously,
Scott
a lot of
Steiner.
those independent guys who do it because they want to get called up to the bigs.
Yeah,
So as you can tell, listeners, we're having to watch the Public Enemy in a straight wrestling match, hence the massive tangent.
but they've finally got some offense in. Rocco Rock with a big knee lift on Rick Steiner. But yeah, as you say, Public Enemy in a straight wrestling match is normally pretty average. and just goes to show how good Paul Heyman was at hiding people's weaknesses and accentuating their strengths.
Yeah, I always thought with the situation in ECW is they, especially at a time where tag wrestling was dwindling a little, they had a great tag division of just loads of duos, all distinct from each other, who
Yeah.
all who would all go and kick the shit out of each other. I remember things like the triple threat tag match, the table tag matches. It was a great scene. It was a really good example of the sum of the parts, and they
Oh
were a
yeah.
big part of that, obviously. And that's what helped. And that's one of the
Yeah.
things where they're getting a bit of a pass here. Is this ain't a bad tag lineup for WCW. We've seen some good tag matches on the Nitros. We've seen some stinkers as well. It's been
Yeah.
very hit and miss, but they've got depth at this present moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, I have fond memories of. I think it must have been about '95 time in ECW where they had a like a four-way tag team feud, and I think it was like the Eliminators, the Gangsters, the Bruise Brothers were definitely there, and someone else, and it was basically everyone kept interfering in everyone else's matches just because, as you said, they wanted to just kick the shit out of each other. Um, and it was just great. It was just great heat. It was all pushed around wanting to be the tag team champions, wanting to be the best tag team in the promotion. It always sticks in my head.
Good double teams from Public Enemy. So this match hasn't been too bad so far. Nothing amazing. Pretty first
It,
gear, but they're following the basics, and tag formula never fails. To be fair.
yeah, it's basically doing Public Enemy stunts within the confines of a regular match without tables, without anything like that. But getting the pop.
You're right about that opening. So it was a very long period of time for just the Public Enemy bumping around for the Steiners. But so far, it's one of the matches where you definitely can't say it's been bad, even if it hasn't
No.
been attention grabbing.
Rock up to the top again, goes for that drive by, but Scott Steiner goes out of the way. So once again, Rock really should learn not to go to the top because it hasn't worked out very well for him in this match.
Here comes the hot tag. Rick's waiting. Oh, he's got his leg.
Oh. So Rocco tried to stop the tag but wasn't able to. And nice move there that Rick Steiner went and attacked Johnny Grunge, who was the illegal man first, to get him out of the equation so he couldn't make
Biggest
mistakes.
threat first, always. Yeah, that's good psychology. If
That's
someone
yeah,
looks likely to punch you, you hit them and then get the least likely to punch you next.
yeah, and that you can tell that's Japanese tag psychology that's come over to this country. And yeah, they obviously spent a lot of time in Japan in a few years earlier.
Because these guys must have to do a lot of work then. So some of this work you've probably been like a witness to yourself in trying to avoid being stood there doing nothing. Because it's very easy in multi-man situations to be caught looking like, oh, there's the Frankenstein. I'll finish that thought in a sec. Great Frankenstein, to be fair.
And there's a 3 count.
And that
Steiner's
was a
win.
perfectly acceptable match. Nothing great. Nothing wrong with it, really.
Did the referee just tread on one of Public Enemy as he raised the Steiner's hands?
Probably, but they were. I mean, given the size situation, they wouldn't have noticed it. But yeah, I'd imagine, Dean, that wrestlers have to do a lot of work in multi-man situations to avoid just being stood there doing nothing. It must
Yeah.
be a fine art to make it look like you're trying to get involved, but you can't because your spot's not up and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the guy in the ring, obviously, he can just be selling the move he's taken. But as you say, the guy on the outside, you got to time it right because if you go in too early, it looks silly. If you go in too late, I guess you can be cut off before you've even made it in the ring. It makes your opponent look a bit more on the ball. But yeah, timing is everything, especially in tag match. Sure, we've got Chris Benoit and Dave Taylor.
This should
I
be a
think this
stiff
will be.
fest.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dave Taylor. This is Dave Taylor's first match on Nitro, as far as I can remember.
Maybe he's been in a tag match. I'm not sure. Well, I'd actually have. It's one of the things I actually have to look back and check.
Yeah, but and these two would be very familiar with each other from the European tournaments in Germany and that, where yeah, Taylor spent a lot of time. I think he might have actually lived out in Germany for a while, and obviously Benoit was someone who would be brought over for those tournaments, along with the likes of Finley and Regal.
But yeah, this is a match of sheer compatibility, because if you think about it, they're both in the heel situation at the time. But you can send them out for a match that hasn't happened on Nitro before. They can beat the piss out of each other for 5 minutes. It'll catch the eye. It'll be different from the other matches on the show. Fair fucks.
And I think that's exactly what this is going to be.
There's definitely some cheers here for Benoit, who is. I've heard the references on the show already. He's getting into this feud with Kevin Sullivan now. I think we're about to leave this era, but we are still in the era where a lot of stuff happens on Saturday night, which doesn't help our cause. But yeah, Benoit has taken over from Pillman, who's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Did you
And,
also go on?
Sorry, I was just going to say, bear in mind what we were talking about previously and what we know about Chris Benoit. The difference, just looking at Benoit there, the difference in his physique and size between there and his WWE heyday is notable as well. He's a lot smaller.
I would definitely say that his habits hit a peak before he jumped to WWE. Because if you remember, like 98, 99, Benoit was definitely really starting to come up at the neck. And when you consider the fact that Benoit was called upon by a lot of fans to be given a chance to wrestle closer to the top of the card at that stage, but he never was. It weren't until just when he was leaving WCW that they actually did put him in a headline situation. So I'm sure he was, abusing really hard and working out really hard to try and increase his chances. Yeah, and there were definitely some times where in WWE it was obscene. After the neck injury, I thought especially. I was going to mention earlier, did you notice in the previous match, Eric Bischoff put forth the announcement that I think they were breaking for the first time that May 27th will be a 2-hour Nitro. So,
okay.
So now we're getting to that point where it's starting to gather up a head of steam. They're making that out to be a special Nitro, bigger bumper Nitro. I'm sure there'll be a couple of matches that they'll announce, similar to how we've got Winter is coming up with AEW Dynamite. I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah.
And we are very close now, Dino.
The anticipation is thick in the air. Hulk Hogan getting a name check, who apparently is watching at home.
Because whenever Poochie is not in the room, everyone should be asking,
"Where's Poochie?"
Oh dear. And a shameless name drop of his buddy Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Heenan's referring to the parking lot brawl that Finley and Regal had.
Great job of Heenan doing some bridging there, because obviously you got Regal's buddy Squire David Taylor in this match. They're plugging Slamboree and the Battle Bowl Lethal Lottery deal, because apparently Finley's out of that now because of the parking lot brawl.
Because of it, right.
Good, just episodic bridging storytelling.
Yeah.
Keep us coming back for another 45-minute fix, soon to be 1 hour 25.
Yeah. So, I mean, a few years after this, Taylor would open up a training school, I believe in Atlanta or thereabouts, somewhere near there. And I know that Benoit was someone who would be often there as a guest training, because there was a party of British wrestlers that went down there many years ago, including Terry Fraser and Charles Samuels, the Cartel. And I remember seeing photos of them in the ring training with Taylor and training with Benoit. But there's Taylor posing to the hard cam, but the hard cam isn't being shown to the director. And he's a big guy. I mean, I've worked matches managing people against Dave Taylor, and I've had to take a bump off of him, and he's a huge man. Tremendous pro as well.
Yeah, you have to see him competing against like a Benoit, and I remember the match that stands out to me. Do you remember that infamous impromptu ladder match they had in 2006, where you had Regal and Taylor and other more established teams, like I think it was Eminem and the Hardys, and they just suddenly turned into a ladder match, and that's where Joey Mercury really did his eye
Smashed his
socket in.
face up, yes.
And it was wrestling against some other guys who were more typical cruiserweights, where Dave Taylor was towering. And I was like, hang on a sec, Dragon suplex. He landed on his head. It's easy to forget the time when Benoit used the Bridging Dragon as his finisher.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
that
hell
was
of a
pretty
finisher.
much out of nowhere as a finish, but totally believable as a finish because you're not going to get out of that, are you?
Yeah. It was exactly what we predicted it would be. They went move for move. It was watchable stuff. The higher pushed guy went home after about, what, 5 minutes?
Something like that, yeah.
So, I mean, this episode so far is not going to stick out in your memory for weeks and weeks and weeks to come, but I could put my feet up and watch wrestling like this every night.
And the ending of that, it makes sense. Taylor goes for a springboard bolt cross body block off of the middle rope, not his typical kind of offense. And as soon as he leaves his feet and does something unfamiliar, he misses, gets caught in the dragon suplex by Benoit. All makes perfect sense.
And continuing our theme of heel versus heel tonight, it's Flair versus VK Wall Street. And when I say the theme of heel versus heel, yes, I am pretending that miserable growling Scott Steiner is a heel.
So we've now got Mean Gene backstage with some security and Doug Dellinger, and now Mongo because the Macho Man's trying to get into the building.
So
he's sympathising with Savage.
This is starting to bridge to because obviously Flair's also been antagonising his wife Deborah McMichael.
Yep.
So they're now bridging Savage and Mongo together.
Mongo's got a plan apparently that will get Savage into the building somehow.
Well, yeah, he's being the voice of reason and telling Savage to stay outside. He's like, we're going to do this from within the rules, within the system.
As indie wrestler security stops him coming in.
There's some amazing hairdos.
Yes. Savage has lost his mind, according to Mean Gene.
Stellar acting there from Oakland.
This is the greatest acting from the Macho Man since that episode of Baywatch.
Because what they're trying to tell you here, Dean, is that the Macho Man is crazy. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Really? But he's lost his mind.
Yeah. He doesn't care about the money. He just wants to snap Ric Flair in half.
Yeah, but Liam, what's the deal between Sting and Lex Luger?
Funnily enough, at the start of this segment, Savage actually said, "What's the deal?" Like about him not getting in. I was going, what is he asking about Sting and Luger? So we're still here. This is we kind of hit the notes of this already, and we're still outside the bloody building.
Savage doesn't mind dragging a dead tag team partner to the ring with him to win the lethal lottery.
Because he's paired up with Flair, isn't he?
He is indeed paired up with Flair.
That'd be funny to watch. That'd be like, was it Moxley and his New Japan Young Boy tag partner? That was funny. Just got a funny feeling we might not see Moxley in a New Japan ring again for some time to come.
Maybe so.
Our world, Dean, is about to change.
Oh, it's the Blood Runs Cold promo.
Oh, man.
Mortal Kombat. Eat your heart out.
Just get ready for another year of this.
These did run for like what seemed like an eternity before Glacier debuted, didn't they?
And to be fair, it's short, it's sharp, it's good graphics for the time. It's a very cool tease. It's such a shame they weren't on the ball with it.
Well, Mongo's back in the broadcast booth.
Oh, Kevin Green name dropped.
Ah. Here comes, while Mongo's talking, VK Wall Street, which is basically Mike Rotundo's rip-off of the $1 Million Man.
And when you say rip off $1 Million Man, how pound shop can that $1 million suit he's wearing be? I mean,
Well, it's a
he's
dark suit with a dollar sign in
yeah,
gold stitched onto the lapel.
and he's still wearing the stripy tie that came with it at fucking Next or wherever he bought it from.
I once went to a wrestling themed fancy dress party as the $1 Million Man, and my outfit looked better than that.
So,
But hey,
Liz,
look who we've got.
yep, Liz in leather, check. Woman in her sexy gown and gloves, looking like she's itching to interfere in the match.
She's
Check.
gonna have to cheat.
She's
Now,
got the shakes already.
where's Deborah? Or is Flair
Oh,
looking?
he's taking a
It
detour.
does make me wonder. Oh, he's having a go at Mongo. That's what he's doing right now. It does make me wonder, though, why Steve McMichael insists on having his wife sit in the exact same place in the crowd every single week.
Maybe he wants to be a horseman.
That's just ridiculous.
Maybe he's
There's
playing
no way.
chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
There's
You know, because he
there is
strikes
no
me as the
way.
type to be 5 steps ahead of the rest of the pack.
Can I just state that there's no way that someone like Steve McMichael could ever be a horseman, Liam? That's just ridiculous. Only an idiot would think that up.
So woman has entered the ring and she's now looking over the turnbuckles and giving serious thought to undoing 3 or 4 of them before the match has started.
And poking Wall Street in the eye.
She was just never comfortable in her own skin unless she was cheating in a wrestling match.
Yeah. So Wall Street has also, he's got a black singlet with a big dollar sign on the back.
Oh my god. It is so. Do you know what? If he was actually doing Nikolai Volkov's gimmick when he was forced to join the $1 Million Corporation and he was the $1 million man, fair enough, because that's what he's resembling more than Ted DiBiase at this stage. Oh, it's so bad. I think he looks so pathetic that I think even Woman feels guilty and may not actually cheat in a match. That's how bad he looks.
Oh man! I mean, the match itself, you know, this is going to be fine. You got Ric Flair and Mike Rotundo in there. It's going to be absolutely fine. A short TV match, you would think.
One the best of all time and an absolute, when we say mortar to the bricks, a lot of episodes. He's a perfect example of that. Slot him in there with someone with the storyline, with the personality, with the thing, and Rotundo will get you where you need to go. So this is an intriguing pairing. The pairing. I mean, Steiner's Public Enemy made sense, but the last 2 matches, 2 heel versus heel singles pairings, 2 obvious winners. It's been an interesting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. We've got pairs of people who will know each other well, who've worked together plenty of times before, who will put on a solid match.
And even Rotunda gets to no sell Flair's chops because obviously that's in his contract.
Press slam.
Please. Back body drop.
See, I'm just waiting for Savage to turn up.
Because he's crazy.
Find a way of burrowing under the ring or something.
But I mean, that'd be fun. But more importantly, Dean, what is the deal with Sting and Lex Luger?
See, Savage, he could have taken a leaf out of Halloween Havoc 1990 and disguised himself as a popcorn seller.
See, only Ric Flair can be on the receiving end of offense, roll out the ring to regroup, and squeeze in a strut and a dance with Woman in the midst of it.
Genius.
Just absolute. Just can't take your eyes off him, even for a routine TV match. All the little things. He was a master of them.
Mm.
That was a really laboured drop toe hold, though.
That was a very odd one, yes. Apparently, Savage is outside talking to himself.
Because that's what crazy people do. Did I mention that he's crazy?
He's lost his mind.
Yeah. We'll go back after this match, and he'll be sat on the floor, dribbling with a what was the old stereotype in the boat with a Napoleon hat on?
Or if you watch Blackadder, he'll be sitting outside with a pair of underpants on his head and a pencil up.
There's a classic one, yeah. I'm pretty sure that the Napoleon hat was an old. I mean, we're talking 1940s now, obviously, because it was in all the Looney Tunes cartoons, wasn't it?
Ah, yes.
Back when Elmer Fudd would turn into a lollipop for a second because he's a sucker. It was a different time.
It was a different time. Flair does the Flair flop on the floor, and Woman is urging him to get back to his feet, which he does, and then punches Wall Street in the gut, and he's back on the offense. But he's going up to the top.
Oh, I wonder what's going to happen here. Here's your press slam, Dino.
He still hasn't learned.
Woohoo! The chemistry between Flair and Woman is second to none. The little interactions, even when like he's crawling on the outside of the floor. I mean, I don't. The only recent example I can think of chemistry that good would be Andrade and the recently fired Zelina Vega.
Samoan drop from Wall Street, which is the Wall Street crash, isn't it? But Woman interfered. She put Flair's foot on the bottom rope.
Yeah,
and obviously denies that she did anything.
Well, at least she got her fix. Heenan is referencing the fact, and I did notice this earlier, that the banquet table Flair's been having out near ringside the last few weeks is indeed out there tonight as well. And Heenan says it's because he's going to take a seat there after this match and watch the main event. So obviously he lost the title a few weeks ago to the Giant.
Will Lex Luger turn up to the match?
Woman screams every time Flair gets hit. But there's Rotunda into the ring post knee first, like a doofus.
Bad move. Yeah, runs his knee into the ring post, and we all know what that's going to set up.
I am having great success in a match against former multi-time world champion and wrestling legend Ric Flair. What should I do next? Oh, I know. I am going to aim my knee at that ring post where he's kind of standing. Yeah. You fucking dipshit. You deserve everything you have coming to you, Mike. Sorry, VK.
And this is why you didn't get that commentator's job, Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and my inability to commentate. And here's Woman.
Is again cheating.
Just to make sure. Oh, and Elizabeth's there too, you know.
Yeah, just walking past, doing nothing.
Collecting the easiest paycheck known to man.
Yes, Woman just grabbed both of Ric Flair's hands and gave him the extra offense.
But it's okay because
very rare submission win with a figure four leg lock. You very rarely see that happen.
It's okay that Elizabeth's not doing anything because not only is Woman doing enough cheating for two valets, she's filling the quota for everyone in this fucking building. Oh, she was brilliant.
And also, you know, Elizabeth is just spending the Macho Man's money.
Here's Mean Gene for an interview, and they are at the banquet table.
I think it's going to be a Ric Flair batshit interview.
I wonder if Woman's food will be her cheat meal. Sorry.
He's now talking about shagging Dolly Parton. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, let's be honest. Did WCW actually need the New World Order to go into stratosphere? Just put Ric Flair and Woman on all hour or all 2 hours as it would soon become. And Elizabeth can be there too. It's optional. Doesn't make a difference.
Does the Nature Boy look like he's dead to you?
And here comes your favourite part. Because Woman is on Mean Gene like stink on shit.
Flair's trying not to laugh at Woman.
They're just having so much fun. And Elizabeth, who's not really on the level of the other two, but she's cracking a lot of smiles because the other two are just corpsing her left, right, and centre.
Oh, now we're talking about Mongo.
I think Flair's making a American sports reference that basically amounts to Mongo bad, Flair good.
Yeah. And he's basically peeling Woman off of Mean Gene as well. He's just referred to Woman and Elizabeth as his wide receivers. I'm not even going to pass comment on that.
He's nothing short of brilliant. Just give them an interview segment next to a banquet table every week. Get Mean Gene on the job because Woman's got one other itch other than cheating in a match that needs to be scratched.
Now, we have. Oh, they're apologising about the interview.
Yeah.
The language that he used, and maybe about Dolly Parton.
Well, it was all suggestive, but none of it was as vulgar as, say, you and I doing a podcast.
God. But what's curious here is we've had an ad break, and we've now gone straight into the main event title match. No intros, no nothing.
It's been a very chop episode.
They crammed that into the ad break.
Strange. Because I'm sure there were circumstances at the time, but this is running about 5 minutes shorter than the average hour-long Nitro episode would run. So unless I'm guessing there was something that made them had to be a bit trimmy, because otherwise you'd want it's one of the few times when the entrances of the wrestlers are very important on a TV show, is to get the main eventers out for a world title match. Now,
unless there was something happening on Raw and they wanted to get the main event match started before the main event of
maybe
Raw or something, I don't know.
I'm
just speculating.
Yeah, it's weird, but the interesting factor here is Jimmy Hart ringside, who obviously has managed Lex Luger for the better part of 8 months now, after Luger turned up and turned heel on Hulk Hogan. He obviously also manages the champion, the Giant. And as we've said, they've not done a very consistent job of building up the tension of this conflict of interest. But at least for tonight, it's very much there, you'd imagine.
Yeah. So Luger came off the middle rope, which isn't his usual offense. He's been caught by the Giant, who is essentially giving him the Oklahoma Stampede without the slam at the end. Just rams him into two opposite buckles.
It's a move he should have dusted off more often, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing pretty. It's nothing.
But it's realistic.
But you don't want it to be. Yeah, exactly. You don't want it to be with a guy like this.
Moves that involve the Giant ragdolling other sizable men, but to really put over, if Luger's getting ragdolled, this is a big dude. I mean, Luger's going to be working pretty normal babyface here, I guess.
And he's just run into the Giant with that big forearm, and Giant just no-sells it. Throws Luger out the ring. And they're just saying about how he knocked out Yokozuna with that big forearm. Just to get their digs in.
I'll tell you what, the chemistry between these two so far has been pretty good. They are really trusting each other and going full throng.
Yeah.
Flair's got his robe back on for his supper at the banquet table.
Now I do have to wonder with Lex Luger, Liam, how good preparation is it to camp outside the arena overnight, as opposed to being in a hotel and getting a workout in the morning?
Wouldn't it be fun if that factored into the finish? He's like, oh fuck, I'm knackered. Or a hobo mate he made outside runs in and interferes. You didn't share that cake with me, you bastard.
Now, is it a proper hobo or is it Savage and Hogan's hobo mate?
Tune in next week to find out.
Or
Oh, we're going to the
Kevin Sullivan
banquet
disguised as a
table.
hobo. Uh-oh.
At least he
Oh,
was kind
Flair's
enough to
going...
remove the lit candle. Don't want to burn
Yes.
the person you're trying to break in half.
Flair's going nuts because the entire... Very, very kindly, the Giant has just swept the place clean whilst Luger just stands there with Giant's hand round his throat.
Jimmy Hart's
Choke
kind of
slammed
just
him.
watching. Oh, Elizabeth's trying to do scared.
Oh, Jimmy Hart trying to stop the Giant, and the Giant just just ignoring him. Jimmy Hart is on the Giant's back, literally. Here comes Sting to rescue Luger, because what's the deal with them?
So this is all a bit random. I suppose it's to build towards Sting Giant Slamboree, but Luger's kind of just defaulted into this role again. Jimmy Hart's not played a factor, and the Giant suddenly losing his temper and going extreme was really random. The match went about 3 minutes. Nothing happened that would make you think, oh, the Giant's like lost his temper. And then, yeah, he held Luger in a goozle while he carefully cleared the table. So
Yeah.
Luger's had to wait for him to do that.
And that goes back to what we were saying about with the tag partner on the ropes, on the tag rope, trying to get the timing right and not standing around doing sod all. And Luger's just had to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, in multi-man matches, the reason I brought it up is because that must be the place where it's the most intricate, the most difficult to do. And you've got to run over and give someone a punch while they're already selling so they're not just laying around for 5 minutes. There's little things like that. But this was just two people. Don't clear the table. There was just little trays and that on it. If you're that mad that you want to end a title match with someone and slam them through a table, why are you going? Oh, get that plate out of the way. It might cut him. Get that candle out of the way. Don't want him to get hot. What the fuck? So that was weird. That really didn't hit home the way they no doubt imagined it would when they conceived it.
You see, if you need that to happen, what I would do is get Flair to take some plates or something, plates of stuff away because he doesn't want it ruined. And it's like shit. This table's gonna get ruined. Let's take this, these canapes with us or something. I don't know.
They're showing some good offense Luger got on the Giant. I suppose just trying to say this is the moment where the Giant lost his temper because he got hit a few times. We've already had that. They made a big deal, and rightfully so, when the Giant was taken off his feet in a recent match and stuff like that. And apparently he loses his rag now. It's silly. It's not hit home, this angle, I don't think.
No, we've lost the commentary for some reason. Mean Gene's been told to go away by Sting.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was good acting from Sting. Well, otherwise, this is it's just so random. And they're doing like the sullen look at them. They're sullen tones and facial
You
expressions
say
at
that,
commentary.
Heenan's trying not to piss himself laughing.
Mongo doesn't know how to sell it either. Now you just got Bischoff looking like he's at a funeral. You can tell which one of these three guys actually came up with the idea and thought that it would come across as a big thing, can't you? Obviously, table bumps were far less commonplace at this time, but still, that did not hit home as a particularly big thing. Even if you were to take that into consideration, it was so random. It was gratuitous. And they are trying to link it. So it's obviously a hard sell. Slamboree's in 6 days, but nah, it's not worked. His best friend Luger going through a table, who might add last week was angry at Luger in a "What's the deal with Sting and Luger" edition. So I always think of how much Eric Bischoff would crow on in his autobiography about the importance of storytelling. And there were some times where WCW told some great stories, but yeah, we also see some times where they really were laps about it at times as well. I like Heenan's shirt.
Yes, it is a good shirt. Slamboree, 1996 coming up. So that is the Lethal Lottery. That's one that we have not covered yet, actually. Slambury 96.
It's not a particularly great pay-per-view. I'll wait until someone specifically requests it, I think. You're not going to hear me go, oh, I really want to do this, Dean. Let's do it even without a guest. Nah. We'll do it when we have to. But then there are worse ones, because we've covered plenty of Russo's and the Great American Bash 92 already.
Yeah.
So we've endured worse.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, the latest one that we did the last episode with Bradley Craig, and as you said, Great American Bash '92, and it was an interesting episode, but it wasn't the greatest show that the greatest pay-per-view WCW have ever put on. Let's put it like that.
It was the equivalent, they say about wear down holds used in wrestling, and this was like the actual entire show equivalent of a wear down hold, where you watch the first tag team tournament match and you're like, well, it's a bit one tone and old timey and boring, but you know the work is good and the wrestlers involved are good at what they do. Then you watch the next one, you're like, oh, this is the same as the other one, but you know they're trying their best, and then rinse and repeat 7 times, and it climaxes with a final, which is basically Gordy and Williams performing literal wear down holds for 30 minutes. And, there's your cure for insomnia right there.
And over on Raw in this episode, we had, so bear in mind what we've seen here, we had Ahmed Johnson defeating Zip with Sonny and Skip, Vader presumably squashing Duke Drosy, Justin Hawk Bradshaw defeating Aldo Montoya, and Shawn Michaels beat Triple H, or Hunter Hearst Helms as he was known then. And we also had Vince McMahon interviewing Undertaker and Paul Bearer, but then being interrupted by Goldust and Marlena and Mankind attacking Taker. And then my favourite sounding part of the show featured footage of the WWF's tour of Kuwait, in which Davey Boy Smith attacked Shawn Michaels on the beach and dragged him into the ocean.
As you do.
Yes, with Kevin Sullivan disguised as a lifeguard.
Or an old woman. We're not quite sure. We have to do some follow-up research to find out which of his 2 amazing disguises he was wearing.
Maybe it was an old woman lifeguard.
Oh, that'll be taken to the next level.
Yeah. So next week is our last. Well, not that we'll necessarily do it next week, but you know what I mean. The next Nitro is our last 1-hour Nitro, and it features a main event of the Giant defending the world title again. So he's a fighting champion. You've got to give credit where it's due, but he defends against Arn Anderson, which will be interesting. We also have Lex Luger and Sting defending the tag titles against the Faces of Fear, Meng and Barbarian. We've got the Steiners against Fire and Ice, and then a match that we've definitely seen before already on Nitro, Ric Flair against Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, we've had that one, I think.
And another one that could be a real, like, what's the term, a sleeper match, isn't it? They say when it's like a one that
or a low key banger. I like that's a modern parlance.
Diamond Dallas Page and Brad Armstrong.
Yeah,
that could be good.
Maybe not a low key banger, but definitely could be a lot of fun because DDP's character work was getting good around this point. He did the comedic stuff before he started the transformation, and we're about to watch his transformation into a player because obviously next week's Nitro happens after Slamboree, and the push will begin for the man who's been a comedy low card heel for so long in WCW.
Marvelous. So a good one to look forward to. And as we said at the top of the episode, we will be doing next week, or reasonably shortly at least, we'll be doing a Q&A with ourselves for our Christmas Q&A and our special guest Finley Martin of Power Slam and Inside the Ropes magazine. So if you do have any question, no such thing as a silly question. In fact, we encourage silly questions. So if you've got anything to send to us that you want to be answered, then just tweet it to us at BecauseWCW. And if you do like what you've heard, please do rate and review us and subscribe to this, and you'll get notifications as soon as a new episode is up. So before we go, Liam, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for that one?
Oh, it was absolutely fine. There was definitely some bits that were baffling, like that angle and that, but nothing about it was bad. The highlight was definitely Flair and Woman,
It's always Flair.
and Elizabeth was there as well, I believe.
Apparently so, yes.
Hmm.
Marvellous. Right, we'll leave it there. So on behalf of Liam, this is me, the Twisted Genius, saying thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you ringside.